I think at the end of the day, what you're really looking at is command interference that created the problems that we saw in these 4 specific cases.
Tonight, Governor Pete Ricketts and his top human resources manager deliver a scathing report on the former head of the State Patrol. The governor fired Brad Rice in July, and late this afternoon, the top state officials outlined exactly why.
Their investigation used terms like dishonesty and dereliction of duty when it came to internal matters, use of force, even sexual harassment complaints. Reporter Maya Sines has our continuing coverage tonight.
Governor Ricketts announced there would be a review on the Nebraska State Patrol at the end of June, quickly after he fired Colonel Rice. And now he says his focus is to restructure procedures within NSP after reviewing the report's findings.
We're going to hold people accountable for results. If they fail to live up to our expectations, we're going to take the appropriate action.
Governor Ricketts says the Nebraska State Patrol needs transparency now more than ever.
Colonel Rice failed to live up to my expectations with regard to how he was to lead that organization, and that's why I asked him to, leave the force, relieved him of his duties. He was not living up to our expectations.
A 15-page internal review of the State Patrol highlighted former NSP Superintendent Brad Rice's inappropriate conduct on internal investigations on 4 occasions, including 2 cases of excessive force.
There was conduct that gave rise to a reasonable suspicion of dishonesty or dereliction of duty on the part of the chain of command that oversaw the troopers that were involved in those use of force, the application of force, and the subsequent investigation into those incidents.
The report found that under Rice's leadership, troopers were prohibited from reporting issues to HR without first seeking to resolve the issue with their supervisor. The report also highlighted NSP's mishandling of workplace harassment, in which they failed to notify trooper misconduct at least a dozen times to the State Crime Commission, with cases dating back to 2008. The report also showed that from July 2015 to December 2016, NSP spent more than $3 million in overtime. That's more than $166,000 per month.
We know that in all of our agencies, we've got opportunities to improve. These are obviously very critical, important ones because they deal with public safety. And so we're going to continue to focus attention on them, especially as we get the next superintendent in place.
Governor Ricketts said 6 other NSP personnel remain on administrative leave while the investigation into their behavior continues. The FBI is also conducting its own investigation of State Patrol matters, and that inquiry is ongoing. Reporting from the studio, Maya Sines, 3 News Now.
Major Russ Danzig, the acting superintendent of the Nebraska State Patrol, issued a statement following that conference. We welcome the findings and, based on conversations throughout the process, have already begun to implement some of the recommendations. NSP looks forward to continued work with Mr. Jackson and Governor Ricketts and our goal to keep Nebraska safe.
One big issue still looming, the federal lawsuit filed by a woman state trooper. She claims a male doctor hired by the state performed sexually invasive medical exams for a hernia as part of her screening. The trooper alleges the State Patrol leaders failed to properly address her complaints about the exams of her genitalia. The suit asks for unspecified damages for creating a hostile work environment and emotional distress.